www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
There's a shot.
Shot that might be. It could be.
Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you, guys, for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome, everybody, to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being heard.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Charles, you have experience when you come into the class ready for lecture and like you're trying to get your PowerPoint up that you're ready to lecture and you won't cook on or, something's just your laptop won't power up fast enough. Have you ever had that experience?
I have absolutely had that experience. It is One of those experiences where it feels like you're flailing and you couldn't be happier when you finally get things up and running.
Exactly. Usually we talk about Mike being on assignment, but he's actually having one of those issues where he's calling IT to back him up in terms of preparing for the lecture. So this one is not on him. We're going to call it IT specialist and bring him in through that. But with that being said, we'll try to get through this and power through it. Hopefully he'll be able to join us if he can get that. He can't blame it on me. I purchased the iPad. Now, that's his own laptop. I'm getting him another laptop. But that's not on me. Now, what he loaded on that iPad, I can't tell you. He got to take it to the IT folks. Come up there like, Mike, what kind of sites were you visiting?
All right.
So welcome to episode 428 inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show. I can do that because he's not here. And podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. Simple HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington Charles Bishop, filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCH 1230 AM studio with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University. That's multi-Hall of Fame, I should say, with Ralph Cooper. He gave me a shout out to our group with the Sam Andrews Black Fantasy Football League, that we do. He texted the group and let everybody know after I put up the poll rankings yesterday. He was like a proud peacock. He said, quote, most HBCU polls have North Carolina Central at number one. It's great to see numerous HBCU polls today. I remember when Dr. DeVille was riding solo ranking HBCU. Now numbers increase. Great. I respect all, but FAMU, number one. My man. Put it away, ain't it?
Yes, indeed. He will figure out a way to get you.
He gonna get it in. With that being said, Charles, what news of the day do you have?
Yeah, let's take a look at our players of the week this past week. We'll start off with the SWAC. SWAC Offensive Player of the Week was Trevon Conley from Prairie View, the redshirt senior, went 20 of 33 with 2 touchdowns and 275 yards in the win over Texas Southern. The Defensive Player of the Week in the SWAC was from Prairie View as well. Keyshawn Johnson, the graduate linebacker, had 14 tackles in that win against Texas Southern. And the specialist from the SWAC is Marcus Wiley, wide receiver kick returner from FAMU. Big 96-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. It set the tone for the game against Jackson State in their win over Jackson State. The freshman of the week in the SWAC was Miles Crawley, quarterback from Grambling State, won 25 of 38 for 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks in the loss to Hampton. Let's take a look at the SIAC. Players of the week on the offensive side of the ball, David Wright, the quarterback from Allen, he went 17 of 28 for 370 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions in the win over Erskine. And the defensive player of the week in the SIC was Tavar Brewington, the linebacker from Savannah State, led the Tigers with 10 tackles, 6 solos, and 1 sack in their win over Southeastern. So those are your SWAC and SIC players of the week.
Good stuff there, Charles. Players of the week, kudos for all those leaving a mark this past week. Got another chapter in week number 2 to see who's going to get a chance to edge their name in terms of player of the week. With that being said, today we're going to look at our band rankings, and we unveil the mid-major version. Last year we put them all in the same ranking. You know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
So for the second year, we're going to unveil the top 7 marching sports. That's the bands, major division style and mid-major division style. With that being said, I'm going to shout out because another colleague of mine did the preseason ranking. So I used that to start things off preseason-wise, and then we use all our framework of what's after that. But with that being said, I wanted to kind of share is the chase for the HBCU National Championship has begun after week 1. This is from HBCU Sports. The first weekend of HBCU football season carries a ton of excitement for football and bad heads alike. There are many primo matchups and lots of intrigue about how programs will look and sound in the first season appearances. In HBCU band circles this year has an extra level of anticipation with the announcement of ESPN's HBCU Band National Championship on Celebration Bowl weekend. Let's take a closer look at the current landscape in pursuit of the goal of the first week of performance. HBCU Sports breaks that down. Credit to them. So go check it out. Go to HBCU Sports. I won't ruin it for everybody. But they looked at some of the keys SWAC matchups that took place this weekend, and they get into some other ones. And as I was telling you, colleague breaks down the VFTS preseason #1 rankings. They do that ranking, and I said I use that to start things off, but we'll get into some more rankings. So that's fascinating when you talk about that's Herbert that's been able to do some of that work. He's from the Washington, D.C. area, but he marched at Alabama State. So he's a big-time fanatic of what that looks like. So I'm intrigued about how that will go forward. With that being said, Charles, what are some other news of the day that you wanted to share?
Oh, well, we got some great matchups coming up this upcoming weekend, Doc. So looking forward to getting into all those matchups. I mean, it is a full slate of games, and we got some rivalry games early to take a peek at. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be fascinating when you talk about some of those big-time matchups in terms of what it looks like. And we'll take down that rabbit hole. As I said, we'll go through these preseason band matchups and get through it out there. I did want to provide a moment of silence for the Morehouse students. One of them happened to be a participant in Morehouse sports. They were roommates, and they tragically lost their life earlier this week. So I did want to do a moment of silence in behalf of those two young men. With that being said, before we get too far gone, is there a favorite matchup that you have that you're looking at this week?
Jackson State and Southern kind of intrigues me a little bit.
My understanding that game is sold out, or is that for a hotel space, or actually tickets sold out?
I hear the tickets are sold out for Jackson State and Southern. I know hotel rooms are at a premium down there in Baton Rouge because not only do you have Jackson State and Southern this weekend, but Grambling is also playing LSU this weekend. So Baton Rouge, nighttime in Baton Rouge, football. It is going to be an exciting atmosphere in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
When's the last time that you can remember that game selling out down in Baton
Rouge? 2 years ago, 2021, I believe, when Jackson State came down there, and that was the infamous game where Coach Prime he'd been in the hospital, and he came back. He was literally in a motorized scooter that game and whatnot, still coaching.
And the game lived up to everything you wanted to do.
Yeah, it did.
Southern was doing things that they will, looking like they were going to give Jackson State their first loss. That's kind of when they started that run, the first season there, if you would. And Shedeur Sanders did his thing that we seen again this past weekend. Think about it.
Exactly.
Throwing a comeback. It was big time in terms of just how everything came together for Jackson State to get that victory over Southern. With that being said, let's go to our first break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get into our mid-major poll rankings. We'll start with the marching sport at the mid-major size. We'll come back with a little more to show you in regards to marching sport top 7, as we will do it here. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Good win.
Yeah, you got to kind of wait until you win the Celebration Bowl to really
yeah. You
now,
know
if you can do that,
bowl.
now you can come back and talk a little bit more than everybody. You be like, man, we came in the SWAC.
Exactly.
And we represented for y'all.
I will bow down.
Then you got to kind of be like, damn.
I will bow down at that point.
Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop. We're getting into that little Rattler Mainland. Shout out to Jerome Deep Sutton. We're going to see where the Marching 100 is in the poll rankings, but we're going to do the mid-major first. Charles getting a little excited, talking about he got 2 in the bank. Y'all missed that part of it as we come out of the break. I had to let the cat out the bag. But we're going to get into this poll ranking. Before we show you the top 7, let me remind you in terms of the marching sport. This is important that you understand. This is based on matchups. Those band heads that I talk to, I mean, they let me know to understand that this is a sport. I was like, well, that's the last thing you should have told me. I believe in. If it's sport, I believe in matchup, which means there's going to be a win and a loss, a winner and a loser. Now, other folks are going to do rankings. I think that's important. You look at what does that mean until you get to the championship where you're going to declare a winner, take all. You're going to be independent matchups. Sometimes you'll be judged in terms of what your performance is individually. But for this poll ranking, it's separate from all the rest. This is not one where you can go and tell all your friends, go vote in this poll over here. You can vote twice, vote as many times, vote every day. No, it's not like that. This is based on matchups. What took place in week 0, we had a matchup. Jackson State, Sonny Boom on the South, and South Carolina State, the Marching 101. We declared a winner out of that. You also had some of your matchups for these Battle of the Bands. You had one that is big here in Houston, National Battle of the Bands, HBCU Battle of the Bands. It was formerly in Charlotte. They also do a Battle of the Bands in Charlotte. It's regional based. The one here is more national in terms of the brands they bring in. So one in Charlotte happened to feature mid-major programs. So you'll see some bands on here that have had 2 contests. That is because we looked at the top 4 programs in each of those 2 matchups. 8 band program, marching sport, got into it. So we took the top 4, we matched up teams, bands, if you would, to go against each other, which means there are going to be 4 winners and 4 losers in terms of the matchup. So that you notice the ones that were here in Houston, FAMU, Langston, Southern, Texas Southern, to name a few. The one up in Charlotte had Bethune-Cookman, North Carolina Central, Benedict, Talladega, Central State, Virginia State, to name a few in terms of those matchups. So with that being said, let me tell you what dropped out. And when I say dropped out, you said, what is that about? Well, there was a preseason ranking out there. View from the sidelines. This was done by Herbert Seward III. He marched in the at Alabama State. He's from DC, so he has a view of the sidelines with all these bands, and everybody has their view. So let me give you in terms of what he started things off. He had a top 10. I'm just gonna give you the 7. So we're doing 7. Number 7, he had the mighty Marching Hornets, Alabama State. Number 6, he had the Aristocrat Bands. And that's for the major division. Let me give you the mid-major division first, since that's what we're going to go over in terms of what that looks like. And again, I'll give you the top 7. With the top 7, starting at number 7 is Winston-Salem State, Red Sea of Sand. Stephen A. Gaither would be excited. He might be bad there with number 7. At number 6, Talladega College, Marching Tornado Band. Number 5, the Virginia State University Marching Trojan Explosion. At number 4, Langston University Marching Pride, their band director marching the Marching Storm. At number 3, Miles College Purple Marching Machine. Number 2, the Kentucky State University Mighty Marching Thoroughbreds. And number 1, the Benedict College Marching Tiger Band of Distinction. Again, you can go to HBCU preseason poll, the view from the sideline. You can Google and put that up. That's halftimeglory.com. You want to read that. He breaks down each band and why he ranked the top 10. For us, so dropping out this week based on that analysis, Winston-Salem State, Red Sea of Sound dropped out. I have them ranked at 1-1 in terms of 2 matchups. 1-1, then they lost to North Carolina Central. They came out the box. They got a loss, if you would, in terms of their band battle. And then they lost to North Carolina Central in terms of their matchup. So they got 2 L's that weekend.
Wow.
Stephen Kentucky State Mighty Marching Thoroughbreds. 1-0, but they couldn't get in the top 7. They all 1-0, but they dropped out. They had a big win in terms of the first week as they got it done in a non-conference matchup. Kentucky State are receiving votes. Winston-Salem State still receiving votes, 94-89. And Albany State, the Golden Rams Marching Show Band, receiving votes just outside at 88. At number 7, Central State Invisible Marching Matadors are 1-1. They lost the matchup against Kentucky State in Circle City, so you split there. They got the football game, but not the marching band. They come out and take it over as they beat Kentucky State, so they're 1-1, number 7. At number 6, Savannah State Powerhouse of the South Marching Band. They're still at number 6. They were not ranked, but because some of the other teams, even though they didn't have a matchup, they were able to jump in the top 6. And we'll see what that means next week as you got Kentucky State outside looking in. Number 5, Miles Purple Marching Machine. They went 1-0 in conference play, took on Lane, took the band on the road, so they get credit for that. And they got it done, 111 points. They do drop 2 spots. At number 4, Talladega Marching Tornadoes, 1-0. They move up 2 spots, 116. And number 3, you have Virginia State, the Trojan Explosion. They split 1-1. They won a matchup they had in that marching battle of the bands, but then they took it to the chin to Norfolk State. Even though they got the victory on the football side, they couldn't do it at halftime. Pre-game show and 5th quarter. Not there. Number 2, Langston Marching Pride, 1-0. Starting off with their matchup in the Houston Battle of the Bands. 2 first-place votes, 141 points. They move up 2 spots. At number 1, Benedict. They stay at number 1. Marching Tiger Band of Distinction, 1-0. They got out of there, had a big matchup, and they continue to roll in terms of what they get done as they continue to roll. Charles, what's your thoughts, man?
I tell you what, woke up Stephen Gaither in the chat room. And I took a look at that matchup. That's a tough one. I like the Red Sea of Sound this first week against North Carolina Central. You could get the win on the field, but I really thought the Red Sea of Sound got North Carolina Central in this one.
I like really did. He said, "No way they lost. No way."
The fighting Stephen Gaithers, I tell you what, Red Sea of Sound, they was all right this past weekend. So that's a tough one. Ooh, that's a tough L.
he said North Carolina Central sound like screeching. Oh my goodness. He going.
Oh boy.
He said D1 band bias. Man, hey man, I don't even know if Central made the top 7 in the major division. So watch out. We'll give you that. Any other additional thoughts, Charles?
Bless Virginia State's hard. They had to go up against a monster because that Spartan Legion. I need them to get on the road just a little bit because boy, they got a band. Oh, they sound good. I watched that show at the Battle of the Bands here in Houston. Oh my goodness, they check all the boxes, but they got to get those matchups in.
Got to get those matchups in because they check all those boxes. It will be interesting because they'll get a big matchup in a couple of years in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. When they face off in that matchup, they'll get a chance to get some viewers to see that. But you're right. Besides that, you got to find a way to get on the road. You got to support your team. You got to get in some matchups. You can't just do it at home. But you never know. It may be enough for the Celebration Bowl to be a finalist. We'll see what that means in terms of what that looks like. With that being said, we're going to take our second break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll flip back to some of the football matchups while we allow Steve Gaither to vent and get off his chest. We'll make sure we include him in the poll so he can get his votes in because I don't want these problems in my life. This is like the second day in a row. He went off on me yesterday, went off on me Tuesday. So I don't know where he gave him
full of smoke.
We were like this, man. We were like this. I know what it was. He owes me an interview, and he ain't did the interview, and he think I'm pushing on him. But it wasn't me. I'm just waiting for the interview. I got no problem. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show. From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden & Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
We ain't gonna let him come. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Oh man, I love it. Lonnie Shaw said A&T over North Carolina Central already. Don't have to wait for the Saturday. We got another segment, though, before we get into the major division. We'll break that down. But right now, we're in mid-major division love. You got John Grant talking about the band of the year. That's that Friday of the Celebration Bowl. So all this culmination of this band talk, y'all need to make sure you're matching up, get your information in. That information from the Celebration Bowl will start coming out. We'll make sure we'll mix that into our band ranking as well. Right now, as we get things going, we're going to these matchups. Talking about matchups, we got an HBCU CIAA mid-major division game of the week. Durham, North Carolina, Durham County Memorial Stadium. Man, there's a lot of love in North Carolina right now. CIAA non-conference conference game, Saturday, September the 9th. High noon. Number 2, Virginia Union Panthers, coming off a big-time victory last weekend, making a statement. They're 1-0. They're at number 23 Shaw Bears that are 0-1. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup, Charles?
You got two of the best running backs, I believe, in the CIAA going against each other, in Jada Byers and Sidney Gibbs. So it's going to be a ground chuck game. But I'll tell you what, Jada Byers, he is something special to watch. 3 touchdowns in the opening week. I got to go with Virginia Union over Shaw on this.
Oh, that's pretty good, pretty good. When you think about this matchup, they got to keep pace with Benedict that continues to do their stuff. Better yet, the real mark is Virginia State and Bowie State have to keep pace with them in terms of the team. They got it done last year winning the championship, playing in the championship game, coming out of that Northern Division. That Northern Division is going to be fascinating, but they get the chance to make an early statement. Shaw Bears, if you want to get it done, they were ranked 23 in terms of the overall ranking. Big time upset at home. Can they do something like that, Charles?
It's possible, but I think they got to create some turnovers. They got to figure out a way to keep Virginia Union's offense from scoring points, and you're going to get a huge dosage of Jada Byers. I mean, he has been the catalyst for this football team the past 2-3 seasons. So if you can get some stops, the upset can't happen, but I don't see it happening. I think Virginia Union takes us.
What does Jada Byers has to do to get the Black College Player of the Year? He should have been in the running last year for a National Player of the Year. He just missed out of that.
Yeah, he has to have. I don't know, and he's had what I think are signature games. It's tough, but I don't know. Maybe he has to throw a couple of passes. I don't know. I mean, because week in, week out, I look at the stat sheet and I'm like, he fills it up week in, week out. But like you said, I don't know. Maybe he needs to pick one off. Goodness, I don't know. It takes a lot for my D2 guy. Yeah, something.
I got
more than Travis Hunter.
Yeah, HBCU, SIEC, mid-major division game of the week, talking about Travis Hunter. They're doing it both sides. Maybe that's what he got to do. Frankfort, Kentucky, Alumni Stadium, SIEC, Saturday, September 9th, also at high noon. Both of these are central times that I'm giving you. We got a top 7 matchup. We revealed those numbers this past weekend, and this matchup features 2 of the top 7 teams in the mid-major division. Poll rankings. Number 5, Tuskegee Golden Tigers coming off a big win in the Red Tails Classic. They are 1-0. This is a conference matchup at number 7. Kentucky State Thoroughbreds also got a victory past weekend. They're 1-0. So you got 2 teams coming in that feel good about what they were able to do this past weekend. Charles, what do you say about this matchup? It is in Kentucky.
And that makes it very intriguing. And Kentucky State has a quarterback that can do it with his arm and his legs. Christian Perez, huge weekend last weekend, 17 of 27, 208 yards, but also 74 yards on the ground. So those defensive ends, they're going to have to be honest. They can't fly upfield and allow running lanes because Christian Perez will take off on them. But I look at the offensive explosion that Tuskegee had this past week against Fort Valley. Bryson Williams, 12 of 17, 217 yards. But Antonio Meeks, they could not stop him this past Sunday night. 6 receptions, 149 yards, and a touchdown. I look for Tuskegee to get it done on the road, Doc.
Ooh, I like what you're talking there. CIAA defeated the MEAC in football. Should have the MEAC thinking as a 6-school football makeup. That's Chuck Hunt going in on that. They got games we talked about on Thursday. Fascinating to see what that looks like. As they move forward, can they make another statement? Then obviously the SIEC had their own victory over SWAC opponent in terms of the SIEC makeup. Fascinating when you talk about what's going on there. As we come back on the other side, we're going to give you the marching sport for the major division. Talking about the major division on Tuesday, we talked about the independent matchup, which features North Carolina Central against North Carolina A&T. A&T announced the fall enrollment of 13,883, according to Jeff Roberts, just mentioning out of not being able to get to 14,000. Well, that would have been a nice statement if they could said 14,000. But 13,883, that certainly is not bad. With that being said, let's go to our third break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get into some more of this band talk, marching sport, the major division top 7, as things should get interesting. Had a couple of matchups that started off with the Honda the National Battle of the Bands, and we also had some of those major division teams in the Charlotte version of the Battle of the Bands. So we'll see, can any of those programs get in the top 7? We'll talk a little bit about the debut of the preseason, view from the sidelines, and Herbert's thoughts in terms of those top programs, 10 programs coming in the preseason. With that being said, stick with us. We'll come back on the other side.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
There's a shot to right. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you, guys, for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being heard.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington still calling in on the phone with IT. You know how it is, how they take forever to get to your class. You just sign the roll, have them sign the roll, Mike, have them sign the roll. Charles, I know you wanted to get a shout out in there. Let me do that before I get more of this major division view from the sidelines.
Oh, definitely. Let me shout out my sister. My sister's listening in from Virginia. I got my nephew. He's sizing up his HBCUs, and I got Norfolk State and Virginia State and running. So Morgan State and running. So I'm looking forward to see what my nephew, where he's looking at going. So.
No doubt, man. That's big time, big time. Speaking of Norfolk State, I know you also mentioned that the fact that they got some road trips they might need to look at. Before we get your thoughts and tell them where you say they need to get on the road, they need to call the They need to get on the buses, find flight trips, something cheap. I know, there's some airlines that can get you there pretty reasonable. But before we do that, let me go back to Herbert. His top 7, again, you can go to halftimeglory.com and check out his top, and we're going to only give you the 7. He did a breakdown of all his top 10, so you can read thoroughly and see where these teams started and why they started. I had Jackson State as champions, but I will tell you this. He does not have them as number 1. They came in last year at number 1. I did a fantastic job in terms of the opener and the MEAC Challenge. What? Let's see what Herbert says. At number 7, the mighty Marching Hornets, Alabama State. At number 6, the Aristocrat Band, Tennessee State University. You talked a little bit about that, and you'll say some more shortly. At number 5, incomparable Marching 100, Florida A&M University, as he says it. At number 4, the Sonic Boom of the South Jack State University. Remember, we did this the last 2 years. The first year, the Human Jukebox won our band ranking. Last year, Jackson State got it done. Bringing us to number 3 is the Spartan Legion, Norfolk State University. As you said, they're full of it. They're highly ranked. They just got to get out there. But he has it number 2, the Blue and Gold Marching Machine, North Carolina A&T State. At number 2, it's a matchup between North Carolina and Norfolk face up, so should be interesting there. Number 1, though, he has the Human Jukebox, Southern University. So my last 2 champions turn out in the top 4 rankings. With that being said, dropping out this week, Alabama State, the mighty Marching Hornets, 0-1. They had a loss to Southern in their opener. So they won the football game, but they lost the battle. It's a tough one. Remember, this is the Alabama on the road at FAMU and got housed. It really woke everybody up to let you know that those that follow the mighty Marching Hornets, they're for real. So they're in the business. They do some travel. So we'll see. North Carolina A&T State, the Blue and Gold Marching Machine, that was in the top 7. They fall out. They have not had a marching contest. They were not in either of the marching bands. Obviously, they moved into the Coastal, formerly known as the Colonial Athletic Association. So they don't have a matchup that they can take advantage in terms of MEAC SWAC. They have a couple of key matchups that Charles may tell you that they can maybe get a chance to show out a little bit. Starting this weekend, they have North Carolina Central. So maybe they get some run there. FAMU dropped out, 1-1. Started out well as they came to Houston, got on the board, took advantage of one of the 4 programs that got a win in that matchup. So they came out 1-0. But they went down in Miami, and the Sonic Boom of the South took care of business to get it done over FAMU. That's 2 years in a row that FAMU has lost that head-to-head matchup to Sonic Boom of the South. The Marching 100 needs to step it up. They're 1-1 on the season and 0-1 in the conference race. Bring us to number 7, Tennessee State, the Aristocrat Bands. They were also part of the national battle here in Houston. They won their matchup, so they come in at 1-0. They do drop a spot as some teams jump in there and bounce. Bethune-Cookman, the Marching Wildcat. People talk about the fact that they need to travel. They do need to go to some conference games, but they were able to get up there for that Charlotte battle of the bands. They got a victory out of that matchup. So 1-0, 152 points. They were not ranked in that top 7. So they jump in. They were a top 10 team, but they were not top 7. So they were not ranked last week, preseason. They jump in at number 6. Number 5.
Come on, Big Green.
Mississippi Valley State made a statement with the size of the band. Mean Green Marching Machine are 2-0 based on their matchups. The question everybody wants to know, will they travel? How long will they be able to stay in the top 7? It doesn't matter for some. They're in there at this point. 156 points. They get it done. And number 4, Texas Southern Ocean Soul, 2-0, and that's 1-0 in the conference race. They took advantage of the business being in the National Battle of the Bands in Houston. It alternates between Prairie View and Texas Southern in terms of a home program, if you would, being in that matchup, but they showed up and showed out. Then they come back Labor Day weekend at home, and they protect home turf, which the football team couldn't do, even though they had a 34-17 lead, looked pretty good, but could not hold down as they lose in overtime on the field during the first, second, third, and fourth quarters. But the fifth quarter and halftime, marching in, overall grade, on to the Ocean of Soul. They took down Prairie View, Marching Storm. They were not ranked in that top 7. They were top 10 program and not top 7. And number 3, Southern Human Jukebox. 2-0. They will also take advantage of the national battle. They were here. They got 1-0. They went down to Montgomery, got on the road. They tend to do that, support their team. So they're always going to be in the mix. They do have one first place vote, but they fall from the number 1 position in terms of the preseason. According to Herbert, they fall out of that. Because number 2, Norfolk State, the Spartans, jump in here, get love in terms of what they were able to do, getting it done, perform well in the national battle. They also had a matchup first weekend against Virginia State. 2 ranked teams, but it was a mid-major versus major. They get it done in that matchup. 1 first place vote. They do move up spots. Number 1 is Jackson State. They jump up from number 4 in terms of preseason ranking. Number 1, they did win last year, 2022. They won that ranking. And they're number 1 this week. 2-0, 1-0 in conference race, 8 first place votes, 208 points, moving up 4 spots. Number 1, the Sonic Boom of the South, getting it done. Charles receiving votes, just so you know, is Tennessee State, FAMU, and Alabama State. 133 points, 127, 126. Aristocrat Bands, Marching 100, and the Mighty Marching Hornets. That's your top 7 here, but those teams are just outside. Charles, it's time for you. What do you say about the major division marching sport?
Yeah, you got
Sonic Boom of the South, ranked number 1.
A couple quick factoids to point out. Sonic Boom of the South, in the first few weeks of the season, they will have taken on the Marching 101, South Carolina State, the Marching 100, FAMU, and this weekend they got this Human Jukebox. They hold up between all 3 of that. That's pretty impressive. I mean, that is really impressive. Take a look at Jackson State. But Ali Frazier this weekend with regards to Jackson State and Southern, the Boombox Classic, some call it. That Spartan Legion, whew, I just need them to get on the road, Doc. I really do. They go to Hampton this weekend. They got North Carolina A&T coming to them September 30th. Very pivotal 2 weeks here. They go to, or Norfolk State plays Tennessee State at Tennessee State. I need the Spartan Legion band to make that trip to the Aristocrat to get that matchup. And then they got a matchup. They go on the road to Howard, and then they get on the road to take on North Carolina Central. I need them at all road games this year. These are very doable, and we get the matchups that we want to see with regards to the Spartan Legion band, because I tell you what, they are an issue. They got sound. They sound even, and a marching style announcer with the right amount of petty and PA announcers. This is huge to me. There's a difference between petty and poor taste. Okay, there's a difference between petty and poor taste. Sometimes you can trip the line a little bit, but petty is perfect. And then another big one for me, and nobody's better at it than Southern. They don't sit on their hands during the game. They are engaged in the game. When the band is engaged in the game, the fan base is engaged in the game. So you lose points with me if you just sit there and you sit on your hands, okay? You got to engage the fan base. That's huge for them.
Perfectly said. I'll leave it right there as we go into our next break. We'll come on the other side and close it out with the major division games of the week. Great comments there, Charles. Stick with us. Be right back after this last break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Yeah.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBC Sports Lab with our last segment as we get into some of the major division games of the week. We're gonna go into the SWAC and then the MEAC. Charles, you're going to love this one, man. This is the easy game of the week right here. Sold out before the weekend. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A.W. Mumford Stadium. Pete Richardson Classic. Game is so important that it's not even going to count in the standings, but it still must be played. Non-conference conference game in the SWAC. Saturday, September 9th at 5 p.m. Central. You got some folks on one side of the track be somewhere, but the more important folks going to be right there at A.W. Mumford Stadium. As you can tell, it's already sold out. That should tell you everything you know. This is a number 7 Jackson State matchup. Number 7 in terms of the poll ranking outside of the top 7 programs. The Southern Jaguars ranked 11. Jackson State comes in 1-1, 0-1 in conference rate. Southern Jaguars are 0-1 after going to Montgomery, losing to Alabama State last week. Close contest, 14-10, defensive game. Jackson State had a game where they showed up big in week 0 offensively, not so much in the second game at FAMU. Played pretty well defensively, particularly when you think about the second half. Even though FAMU had some scoring opportunities to get it done, you have to give some credit to Jackson State for making those plays there. Charles, I need to know, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
This is a very, very interesting matchup because when you take a look at it, both teams want to get this W, obviously, but I think it's probably a little bit more important for Southern and Southern's fan base to get this W against Jackson State. And the question for Jackson State is which Jackson State team is going to show up? The week 0 Jackson State team that looked every bit as good as the previous 2 years, or the Jackson State team that got popped in the mouth pretty good this past weekend against FAMU. And it goes to show you can't just roll out the name Jackson State, guard the yard, and everything is all good. I mean, teams are going to be coming at Jackson State, are really good this year. So this is going to be a very spirited contest, nighttime in Baton Rouge. The question for me, whose offensive line shows up in this one? I think that's the key to this game. Jackson State was very leaky this past weekend. FAMU was able to get to Jason Brown early and sort of really took control of that game. So Southern, really stout defense. Tough one. This is a pick 'em if there ever was one, but the heart is what the heart is. So we'll go with Jackson State.
There you go. Brown versus Blood. Ooh, should be interesting. Thing about it is Southern hadn't won this matchup in the last couple of years and haven't won the game in the last several opportunities, including the championship matchup where they previously had major success against Jackson State in those SWAC championship games, not to be last. So it's fascinating when you think about it from that perspective. Can they get it done? Both teams obviously coming off losses need to win, just from an emotional standpoint. If I had to ask you, which team would you say needs to win more than the other?
That's actually a tough question because both really want to get this win. I mean, I think with all the hoopla around Jackson State after week 0 and then to kind of fall flat last week, you can make a good argument that Jackson State needs this win incredibly to kind of keep that momentum going and have everybody remember how good they looked week 0. But Southern starting off 0-2 to 2 SWAC East teams, that doesn't sit well. That doesn't sit well whatsoever. So for me, just slightly, I think Southern and Southern's fan base needs this just a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I was curious which direction you go, and I don't think it's hard to argue. You can make the other case, but certainly it's fascinating when you talk about that.
Yeah, just thin line.
At the very least, I would say at the very least, both teams, one of them will get the victory, but both teams need to play really well.
Yeah.
If they lose, they need to lose playing well. With that being said, let's go to the other side, if you would. Let's go to a little northern region. We're going to go to Virginia. They've had a lot of love as well after we talked about so much about North Carolina. We got another big matchup. And this is another matchup that features a coastal, formerly known as colonial matchup against the MEAC. We had one last week. Morgan came out on top over Richmond. Got a chance this week, and both of them happen to be HBCU matchups, but they're MEAC versus the Coastal Conference, their Coastal Athletic Association. Hampton, Virginia for this one, Battle of the Bay. It's in Armstrong Stadium. So Hampton is the home team. You have a number 19 overall ranking, if you would, in terms of strength of the program, Norfolk State Spartan, coming in after a tough loss to a CIAA Virginia State program. We're getting beat up in that game, but it looked like they had a chance to send it in overtime and maybe find a way to get it done. No, botched field goal attempt to tie the game.
Wow.
Return for a touchdown, and the Virginia State Trojans and their fans go cheering and chanting all over the place. They're at number 6, Hampton Pirates, which are 1-0, top 7 program here in Hampton that defeated Grambling State. Grambling State team that came in with a lot of folks thinking positive about them. They showed up in terms of Grambling offensive, but not so much defense. Hampton can run. Can Norfolk State stop the run? They didn't do it against Virginia State. So this is a intriguing one to watch. Charles, what direction are you going with this?
Yeah, that's concerning that Norfolk State could not stop the run. Virginia State upped and Bailey. He had 184 yards in that game. I tell you what, Norfolk State better bring the linebackers and the defensive tackle in this game because you're going to get a heavy dose of Hampton running the football, 69-31 in terms of the offensive play calling, run to pass. So you're going to get a heavy dosage of running. Christopher Zealous, quarterback for Hampton, huge game, 15 carries, 114 yards, and Darren Butts, 103 yards for Hampton on the ground. It's going to be tough for Norfolk State in this one. I got Hampton to win going away.
Ooh, Hampton winning, going away, setting it up as they continue to rise up the poll rankings. With that being said, that'll do it for us today. Enjoy your football this weekend. Get to a HBCU football game. I know I'm speaking to those that go to those games, but if you're anywhere near, go to them. Let us know on Sunday as we give you our Sunday morning edition to tell you what took place this weekend in regards to the HBCU football matchups. And we have some big ones. We'll get into you and let you know Sunday morning when the entire crew is here to give you those matchups. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. I want to say thanks for Brian getting it done. Roy always doing the backup work. Talking about Brian, you do have a Sunday evening show with Brian and AD as they'll give you the sports wrap. Remember throughout the week, next week, as they start things off or close up the week for you that Sunday evening, You know, you got that Wednesday ONG strike zone. They're feeling good about themselves right now, rightfully so. So it'll be interesting to see what that mix and matchup does. And then obviously you get your regular shows with us Tuesday and Thursday. Carlos Brown on Saturday. Before you get into those matchups Saturday and get to going around, make sure you check out Carlos Brown, as he will give you and get your morning started right for those Saturday matchups. With that, we look forward to Sunday. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattCavil. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Horse.
Roy? Brian?
Lecture.
It's Smith.